Welcome, parents, to our second grade family literacy night for November 19th, 2020. We are very excited that you chose to join us on our digital parent night. Our focus tonight is all about family literacy and helping your child with their literacy skills. So, what is family literacy? Well, family literacy is how a family interacts with literacy materials like text, words, illustrations, and more. Family literacy can be practiced by reading books before bedtime, writing each other letters, playing word games, singing songs, or cooking together while following a recipe. Think about when your kids were little and you used to snuggle up before bedtime and read bedtime stories or sing nursery rhymes together. Any of those things can still be done even though your babies are growing up. Why is family literacy important? It's not just about reading. Family literacy is also about writing, math, science, social studies, and more. Children need a mastery of reading foundational skills to be able to succeed in other content areas. With math, you have word problems. Children need to be able to read in order to be successful with math word problems. Science and social studies, you have textbooks to read, you have experiment directions to read. For writing, you've got to know those basic reading skills to be able to spell words correctly. You have to know about letters and sounds and words. So it's very important to have that mastery of reading skills to be successful. Teachers in school are working really hard with your children to help them with their literacy skills. Some things that we do at school are identifying strengths and weaknesses in reading. We focus instruction to meet your children's needs. We continually adjust our instruction based on the needs of our students and their successes and difficulties. We are providing lessons based on our rigorous state standards, and we are promoting language and communication skills along with reading. So we work on literacy skills not just by reading books, but also with writing stories and talking and having discussions in class and having presentations for the children where they get a chance to communicate with others. What else are we doing? Well, like I said, our reading standards are very rigorous and challenging. We use the iStation Reading Assessment Program to monitor children throughout the year. You will receive information on their accuracy, fluency, and comprehension through printed reports sent home. We typically have a beginning, middle, and end of year iStation reading assessment. And then we also have monthly progress monitoring and practice for your children through iStation as well. We also work hard on building students' reading stamina. We start out the beginning of the year helping students with their stamina by practicing reading to ourselves and building the number of minutes that we can successfully read to ourselves without getting distracted or stopping to do other things. So we work hard on building that reading stamina. Our iStation proficiency scores for second grade are state mandated, and the score proficiency levels you can see listed here, highlighted in the yellow box for second grade. Beginning of year was a 228, middle of the year was 237, and end of the year was 241. You'll notice to be proficient at the beginning of year in third grade, your children have to be a 247, which means if your children are just at that proficient level at the end of the year in second grade, they have to continue working over the summer to continue to grow and be able to be proficient in third grade. So we really work hard to help our students in second grade exceed that bare minimum proficiency level at the end of the year so that they will have a higher likelihood of being proficient in third grade at the beginning of the year as well. I want you to think about this for just a moment. The single most important activity for building the knowledge required for eventual success in reading is reading aloud to children. Not giving them assessments, not making them practice, but hearing other people read to them. The reason reading aloud to children is so important is you are modeling great reading to them. By hearing adults read to them, they are hearing correct pronunciation of words. They are hearing correct fluency with how you read and make it sound like you're talking. They are hearing the inflection and expression in your voice. They hear you do silly voices to sound like the different characters. All of these things that adults model when they read aloud to children are what help build that success rate. So, what can we do at home to help? Well, here are ways that you can practice family literacy at home. Read. Read anything you can get your hands on. Books, magazines, newspapers, digital print. Read things online. Read stop signs and other street signs and store signs as you're driving down the road. Any type of words that you can read them together. Ask your children about what they're reading. Ask them questions before they read, while they're reading, and after they have finished reading. Write to each other. Write notes and emails, text messages, or letters to each other each day. Now, for second graders, most likely, you could be doing handwritten notes. This gives them a great chance to practice their handwriting skills as well. Write little notes back and forth to each other. Sing songs together. Make up new songs. Kids love making up new songs, so the sillier the better. Make it fun. Cook together. Teach your child how to follow a recipe. That requires reading skills also. Tell family jokes. I know my children love to look up new jokes online to share with each other and tell jokes at dinner time. Play board games and word games together. And have a family game night. Keep a family calendar. Make family to-do lists and grocery lists, or write down your wishes and goals for each season. One tradition I have with my family is every day we write down one happy memory of something that happened that day. And then on New Year's Eve, we open up all of those little notes and read them together. And it is a really special way to look back and focus on all of the happy, positive things that have happened throughout the year. That would be a great thing that you could do with your family. And it is not too late to start that now. If you started that now, you would still have more than 30 special notes for each person to read on New Year's Eve. Visit the library or a bookstore together. Check out books. Create art projects together and display your family artwork around the house. And have your children write descriptions of their art and the meaning behind the inspiration for their artwork. That's a great way to practice literacy skills. Parents should also make sure your child is at school every day possible. Barring illness, your child should be in school. Make sure your child takes schoolwork, both in person and remote work, seriously. Your children need to know that schoolwork is important. That is how they are learning. And this year especially, that work at home is just as important as the work here in the school building. Parents should reinforce and review schoolwork with your children often. Have conversations to build vocabulary, language, and communication. Provide lots of life experiences that expose your children to a variety of content areas. Things like playing games, going on trips, hikes, going to museums and the zoo, all of those provide opportunities for family literacy to occur. Make sure your child reads at home every day as much as possible. In second grade, we ask that children read a minimum of 20 minutes each night. But if they want to read more, that is wonderful. Ask questions about what your child has read. I believe we mentioned that before. And read aloud to your child. You are never too old for a bedtime story. And as your child becomes more proficient at reading, ask them to read you the bedtime story. Why do we ask for 20 minutes? Well, here you can see a great graphic representation of what happens when children read for at least 20 minutes every day. On the right, you can see student C only reads a minute a day outside of school. That's 180 minutes per school year, or 1,000 words per year. Student B, 5 minutes every day, 900 minutes per school year. That is 282,000 words per year. It sounds like a lot. Student A reads for 20 minutes per day, 3,600 minutes per school year. That is over 1 million words per year. Student A will typically score in the 90th percentile on standardized tests. Student B, only the 50th percentile. And student C, only in the 10th percentile. If you look at the bottom, this was really powerful for me. If children start reading for 20 minutes per night in kindergarten, by the end of 6th grade, student A, who read 20 minutes every night, will have read for the equivalent of 60 days. Student B will have read for 12 days, and student C would have only read for 3 days. So just that simple 20 minutes a night is a great way to help your child be a better reader and help them have a better chance of being successful in school and in life. We are so busy. How do I get my 20 minutes? I completely understand this question. I have 4 kids of my own. Miss Cooper has children. Miss Hines has children. We all are very, very busy. How do we get our children to get that 20 minutes in with our busy schedules? Well, here are just a few ideas that you can use that might help. Read during your snack time. If you have a snack after school, have your kids read. Keep a few books in the car, assuming your child doesn't get car sick. Have them read in the car. Make a set time to read aloud to your child, even if it's only for 5 minutes, and make that a priority. If you say you're going to read for 5 minutes at bedtime before they go to sleep, make sure you do that every night. Make sure that is a priority. Add reading into your transitions throughout the day. Read while you clean up lunch or finish getting ready to leave to go somewhere. If you're doing the dishes, have your child sit in the kitchen with you and read to you. Or you read to them while they brush their teeth and get ready for bed at night. Read everything: signs, food boxes, magazines, captions on the TV, anything that you can get your hands on. Keep books by the bed. Just keep a small basket or bookshelf beside the bed for your children to have books at hand. Have a set time for your child to read by themselves. Play different reading games together. Read while you wait at a restaurant. And keep books in your bag that you take out with you. Read while you wait for an appointment, the doctor, the dentist, a hair appointment, any type of appointment. Take books with you. Listen to stories online. Storyline Online and Epic are wonderful. Storyline Online has famous actors and actresses reading, and they do a great job of using fluency and expression in their reading. And Epic has both read aloud and read to self books available. Both websites are free. Read activity books such as cookbooks for kids or the Klutz books. Anything you can read. When you're reading at home, your purpose is to work on building fluency, comprehension, word solving, and a love for reading in a supportive, loving environment using text at an independent level. That means your child's text should be fairly easy for them. They should be able to get at least 95% of the words correct when they read to you at home. Some guidelines you should set while you read is that you should sit next to your child while they read so that you can see the words and illustrations. How to read with a beginning reader. Talk to your child about the book before reading. Complete a picture walk. Just turn through the pages and look at the pictures to see what might happen. Predict what could happen in the book, and then model and encourage your child to track the print. Show them how to track it using their eyes and finger. Read a word or sentence and have your child repeat it, especially if they had difficulty. Read it and always expect them to go back and reread. Take turns reading a page. Sometimes it can be a little overwhelming for children when they're just learning how to read. So take turns. One of you read one page, then the other reads the next page. Talk about the story as you read. Ask things like, what do you think will happen next? What does this story remind you of? What's the problem this character's having? Ask questions. Read the story again. Repeated readings build fluency and confidence. Some ways that you can support your child at home are with word solving. When an error is made, wait and ask your child to try it again. Give them a chance to work on that word independently before you tell them the word. When you see they're not going to catch that error or not going to come back and try to fix it, or they get too frustrated, then say something like, make the sounds match to the letters that you see. Try that again. For comprehension, ask questions that invite recall and thinking, such as, why do you think that happened? What do you think that means? Why did the character do what they just did? For fluency support, model expressive reading and have your child echo read. Encourage just right pacing. Not too fast, not too slow. Demonstrate how to attend to punctuation. Pausing at commas, pausing at the end of sentences, and adding expression based on the punctuation mark. Here you see a great graphic for some word solving strategies that you can use at home. Feel free to print out this page of the presentation and use it with your children. This is all about ways to help them when they are having trouble figuring out a word. Compliment your child. Children need those words of encouragement. Here are some ideas of things that you can say when your child is working on being a better word solver, on their comprehension, or on their fluency. Things like, I love that you checked that picture and used the first letter of the word to help you figure it out. Nice job trying a different vowel sound. Great job sticking with it and working on that difficult word. Your expression is showing you understand what you are reading. Wonderful job stopping to think about the text instead of just reading to get to the next page. Some other things you can say for fluency are things like, that's great, you sounded just like the character would sound. Or I could hear you take a break after that punctuation mark. Your speed is just right. Or you're reading in phrases, not just word by word. What else do you need to know as a parent about reading? Well, reading affects their success in other subjects, not just reading. We talked about that at the beginning. It affects their success in math, science, social studies, and more. Children who read the most read the best. The more you read, the better reader you become. There is a strong connection between overviewing of TV and video games by children and underachieving in school. They need those books in their hands. Children who have the most access to books typically have the highest reading scores. Again, the more you read, the better chance of success. Mark your calendars for our future Title I nights. They will be digital at this point. Our math night will be February 25th. STEM night will be March 18th. And transition night will be April 22nd. At this time, all meetings will be digital and posted online. Any questions? If you have any questions, please send us a message on Class Dojo or email us at the following addresses. Miss Clark is first, Miss Cooper, then Miss Hines, and finally Miss Wilmoth's address at the end. Thank you for attending our virtual family literacy night. We greatly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to view our literacy night digitally. We know it's not quite the same as being in person together, but we really appreciate you taking the time for your child's education. Now, take a few minutes, grab your children in a great book, and go read together. Have a great night.